You're listening to ABA One-on-One Podcast.
The best way to keep up with everything happening around here at ABA One-on-One is to join our monthly newsletter. Just for joining, we give you $230 worth of free gifts from our sponsors once you confirm your email address. You can unsubscribe at any time, but why would you? Just go to our website, www.aba1on1.club, scroll to the bottom of the page, and subscribe. Hey guys, it's time for a new episode of ABA One-on-One.
Open up, yeah. Open up now. Open up. Open up, yeah. Open up. Open up now. I give a damn dog, give him a bone. Give a damn dog a bone. I give a damn dog, give him a bone. Give a damn dog a bone. I give him a bone.
All right, guys, welcome back. This is another ABA One-on-One. We got the whole family together again. We got Brian and we got Rick in the house. And wow, it's going to be a great show today. Gentlemen, how are you?
How we doing? Rick,
Good.
what's going on, man?
How you doing, Brian? As I always say every week, if I was any better, I'd be twins.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh, yeah, that's good, baby.
glad to be here, man. Glad to be here.
Awesome,
Sure.
awesome. Well, Rick, you're going to lead off with a great topic today, which a lot of these younger players need to really let resonate. So we'll let you have it. Go ahead, big dog.
All right, I appreciate it. I want to thank CJ and Brian again for allowing me to come on, and all the ABA family who's promoting basketball globally, and that's obviously needs to be recognized.
Okay, that was good you said that, because you've been leaving that out. We're paying you $100,000 a year, so make sure you keep saying it.
You're not gonna
Just rub it in. Just keep rubbing it in.
You can take $5,000 off of my salary. But,
All right, Rick, go for it, brother.
What I wanted to talk a little bit about, and I've been doing a lot of research on this. I listened to a lot of things on my earpods that I listen to while I'm on my elliptical. Listen to a lot of shows and getting some ideas, and I've been doing a lot of stuff with culture. I've been thinking, just how important that is in the total scheme of life and jobs. And again, we transfer it into life as much as we are basketball. We're a basketball group, but the culture of any organizations. I heard some great podcasts today and about how people got to buy in. And so I came home and I said, well, look, you know what I'm going to do? Before I start tonight, I'm just going to get a definition so people got an idea of what culture is. And the way the dictionary defined it was, it's a total way of life of a particular group. It includes everything that the group thinks, says, and does. It is learned and transmitted from generation to generation. And it simply said, culture is a way of life of groups of people. Things they share, ideology, and it includes beliefs and attitudes. And that is about basketball teams. But again, people that's not involved with basketball, that's not even involved in sports. This is the same principle for them. And I was at a podcast, I don't know, a month ago, and one of the topics was culture. So I listened very intently to the speaker, and it was excellent. And he's talking about developing a culture that's positive and sustainable. Keyword is sustainable. You can keep it going, And another concept that I wrote down, holding each other accountable. And that comes from leadership. The ideal situation is on a basketball team, and I've thought about this a lot because I've had many basketball teams, and having the older guys show the younger guys the ropes.
Yeah.
If you follow what I'm saying. Some of the older established programs have this. I'm not going to get into it with the program, my junior college program that I started, because I didn't have anything to start. We had nothing to go on. We just had to develop ourselves. But guy from the University of North Carolina is the one who was speaking this on culture. And of course, everybody knows who Dean Smith is. And the culture that he developed, now he had 30 years to develop it. But it was positive, and players held each other accountable. If you don't do it, then, you're looked upon, why aren't you doing this? It was sort of a given, but I'm just trying to, get some kind of, give some kind of ideas about how to develop a culture. And again, the key word here is sustaining it. You can do anything for 1 year, but can you do it year after year after year until it becomes a way of life? And consistency. Brian, you hold your best player accountable. If your best player,
you do.
Or if your 15th guy misses class, both of them get the same repercussions. If you in consequences, you don't say, "Oh, because you're the best player." Like I was joking a minute ago about if the best player is not on time, you don't let him be co-captain. But if your worst player is not on time, you don't even let him dress out for the game.
Yeah.
But, again, that's a hypothetical situation, but that happens.
Mhm.
And I know you of all people, you and CJ understand that. You want your leaders to be your leaders.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy was telling me today, I called him and asked him, he said, you don't want it to get to the coach. You want it to stay in the house, in that locker room. That's the ideal, the perfect scenario. Stay in that locker room. You take care of it in the locker room. Don't let it get out. If it gets to the coach, then it's probably pretty serious. It may be bad when it gets to the coach, if it gets that far, whatever it is.
One of the points I think that's important as far as establishing a culture too, Rick, is those players, and I'm going to allude to what you said about the older guys teaching the younger guys, and for that culture to be sustained over time. It's learning. It's actually learning the value of the little things by each player, and understanding what each player brings to the table. Now I'm gonna go back to when I first started playing, and I was under Kelvin Sampson. In respect to that, when I joined, they had a group of guys. Now I was a freshman going in, and they had 4 seniors. I was a freshman starting with 4 seniors. And this one player in particular, Kevin Johnson, CJ, and I think, Calvin will tell you about CJ. This guy he wasn't the most athletic. He wasn't he didn't hustle a lot. CJ was slow-footed. He was, he had his flaws, but CJ would give you everything he had, absolutely everything. And one of the things that got me was my very first practice. When we finished our very first practice, everybody held hands. And CJ grabbed my hand, and we circled up around the coach. And he told me right then and there, we are a family. This is a part of our culture. This is a given. We do this every day. Like that. And it was like, okay. So as the season went on, there were little things that he would tell me. There were little things that Joe Puckett, another captain, would tell me, or Ken Andre, guys like that was there before me, those seniors that was there before me. They would tell me these little things for me to get to keep it all going. And I found myself doing the same thing that next year when all of those players had left. Well, this was a part of our tradition, and this is what we do. And you start teaching it to the ones that come along. So I think, to your point about sustaining that culture, all those players that come in have to realize or recognize what parts of this culture that, that they must adhere to, so that it all continues. And when you started, I think one of the biggest things for me was when we stood in that circle and we all held hands around the coach. And at the end of the day, we all laid hands on each other towards the end. That was eye-opening, because it was like a family, and that's what it was. We were a family. And I think that's one of the important parts of sustaining any culture in a program, is that the new guys that come in have to be willing to accept what the standard is. And they have to be willing to pay it forward to the next person, to the next group that comes in. And then that group after them have to be willing to pay it forward to that following group, so that that culture remains, the way it does, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, another thing that they brought out in this thing I was listening to today, and I thought it was pretty interesting. Again, it wasn't basketball, but it was about cooperation, a group that hired this. It was an outside consultant who went around not investigating is not the right word. She was looking at different situations, finding out what was wrong. What was wrong with the culture? Because it was obviously wrong, because the person, the firm or the organization called her in. That's what she was. She was a consultant. She went around to different organizations, different groups, talking to the leader. And she said the first thing she did was, when she was talking to the owner or the director, she said, he told her, said, I think we need to develop the culture here. And she said, wait a minute. Now, you think you need to develop the culture, or you want to develop a different culture? You want to go in a different direction, because what you're doing is not working. You know what they say, the definition of insanity is when you keep doing the same thing and expect to get different results.
Yeah.
But, I thought that was pretty interesting. And sometimes that means making tough decisions. Sometimes you got to cut the losses. It sounds bad, but again, for the good of the team, sometimes guys got to go. And, you hope it doesn't happen, but it's going to happen. I mean, whether and you got a plan for that.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty interesting. And finding
there's always going to be that one, or that few that, for whatever reason, don't see it or don't want to be a part of the greater good, or the greater good of the team or the group. There's always going to be, I guess what we used to call the black sheep of the family. That one that just doesn't fit, or
buy in.
You know what I mean? Or not necessarily fit, but don't want to fit. Yeah, the me guy.
They got an outside agenda. That's where the problem is. But again, sometime that can be exposed. People's personality or lack thereof can be exposed, especially in a team concept. Now, if it's an individual sport, tennis, golf, things like that, where it's track and field, that's pretty much an individual sport. You have your own thing. But in basketball, football, and baseball, the team sports, if you're not buying in, then it's quickly exposed.
Yes.
Quickly. And it's your coach, but hopefully, as I just said, hopefully it doesn't get to the coach. Hopefully those team leaders in that locker room can take care of it without it ever getting to the coach. And, he told us, still, I don't know whether you guys know, well, no, I'm not going to mention names, but North Carolina had this player averaged about 25 a game. He played in the NBA for, probably 18, 20 years. Played on the Detroit Pistons team that won the NBA championship. The guy was telling them they were getting ready to go to Hawaii for a game. This is the University of North Carolina. And they're sitting on the bus, and it gets close. They were leaving at 6 o'clock. And about 5 minutes to 6, he's not there. And now all of them looking at to watch. Wait a minute, because they know what's at stake here. If he doesn't go to Hawaii, play in this tournament, it was the whatever that tournament they used to have in Honolulu.
The Chaminade. Was that the Chaminade tournament?
Yeah, Chaminade was in it, but it wasn't. I can't remember the name of it. The one in Alaska was the Great Alaskan Shootout, but this was a friend of mine's running this now. But anyway, their players, they're kind of getting antsy. Here's their best player not there, And finally, the bus driver knew it too. So about 2 minutes before leave, because the coach was going to say, hey, we're leaving, with him or without him. All of a sudden, the bus need to check the tires. And so he got off the bus and was walking around the bus checking the tires, buying time. And the coach was, I'll mention his name, he passed away. His name is Bill Guthridge. He was Dean Smith's assistant for years and years and years. But he was keeping that same culture going. So he got off the bus and went to the bus driver and he said, let me tell you something. If you don't get on this bus and drive it, I'm going to drive it. So you make a the bus driver got on the bus and they was off to the airport. Just as they were leaving the Dean Dome, leaving to go to the airport, they see this player come running. They don't stop. We're not leaving. It's his responsibility. They got to the airport and there he was. He made the reparation. He did what he needed to get there, and he went to Hawaii. And I don't know whether they wanted to turn him or not, but the point was he wasn't waiting on anybody. He knew what the deal was. And the next question in the audience was you ever late again? Nope. Nope. Yeah, I thought that was but that was the culture of University of North Carolina. But it could be any major school. It depends on leadership and the players. But
my coach was like that. My Coach Davis would not wait for anybody. He don't care if you was the best player or the worst player. We all had to groove and chime together as one. And if we didn't, that was it. Like, he had no problem getting rid of bad seeds either, which I appreciated.
Yeah, sometimes you have to have to do it. I mean, me coaching some of these. I coach women and I coach men, and I found that women, I had no problem with women, none whatsoever. They listen, they're on time, they do, they're a part of things. They love being a part of the group. When it came to the men, I've had to identify several players. And see, I used to do some things like this. When I had a player, and this was my early years of coaching, mind you. I retired playing when I was 30. But I started coaching when I was about 31, 32. And so I still had a little game in me back then. And I remember my very first head coaching job. I had these men, and we had the tryouts. We went through everything. And I had this one particular player who came to me like, coach, what's my playing time going to look like? Because I was with this group last year, and, I was a starter, and I was this, and I was getting, my minutes. I need to get my minutes. And my whole thing to this player was, I don't know what you did last year. I don't care what you did last year. This is a new year, and I'm going to play you accordingly. And he always kept, niggling. He always just kept niggling and trying to push an agenda. Until one day, we were at training. He had a little bit of an attitude. I told guys to get to the baseline, hustle up. The team, they hustle to the baseline, but he's going to take his own sweet time to get there. Okay, I looked at that, and see, for me, I like to keep track in my head, and I just count strikes. And the next drill, I asked him to hustle to the baseline to get started on this one, and again he took his own little time. So then I called him out. I said, Aaron, and I ain't gonna say his last name, but Aaron, is something going on with you today? Well, Coach, I don't feel like hustling today. Okay, Aaron, I get you. Because now all this was just stemming from his playing time, because he thought he deserved more playing time than what he was getting. And I just said, okay, Aaron, here's what I'm going to do for you. I got a group here that's pushing themselves and pushing each other, and we're working towards something as a group. And obviously you don't want to be a part of it. But here's what I'll tell you. I know what it's about. It's about your playing time. And then he looks at me, because I'm going to call him out in front of everybody. Yeah, it's about your playing time, and you think you should play more. Well, here's your deal right now, Aaron. And I took my jacket off, And I said, Jake, give me the ball. Right now, Aaron, we're going to play one-on-one, me and you, 1st to 5. You lose, you see that door over there, you're gone. If you win, I'll give you more playing time. How does that sound to you? And you should have saw this guy. He was like, yep, okay. He got hyped. Now, like I said, this was back in the day. When I blanked him 5-0, and he never touched the ball the entire game, he had a long walk through that door, okay? 2-3 days later, he's calling me up about, Coach, that was unfair. And look, man, what I'm establishing here is a different culture. What I'm establishing here is what is a team where people want to be a part of it. You have not shown from day one that you want to be a part. You've always shown it was about you. So the best way to get through to you was to test you and to see what you could actually bring to the table. Now, if you couldn't beat me, an old man one-on-one, I'm not going to put you out on my court and expecting you to carry my team and do anything else. And harshly enough, I had to send that message, but then every player after that, if I have to call you out, you know where you were going.
Boom.
You know what I mean? But sometimes, even as a coach, and I know for me, using that method was a bit extreme, but to your point, when it gets to the coach, but then some coaches see it, and coaches need to help players as well. Coaches need to reinforce the culture of what these players have established. And when you do that, and I think when that's done as a coach, that sends a clear message of unity across the board. Because some of those players, you could tell they didn't like the attitude, but then some of them wouldn't speak up because of friendships or things of that nature. So it's also incumbent upon the coach to be as authoritative as possible and stick to strict codes. That's my thoughts. But yeah, I had to deal with that. But that's what I used to do. If you ask me to do that now, Jesus Christ. Well, my knees, my back, my neck, my ankles, my elbows, my shoulders.
Other than that, you're perfect.
Yeah. Other than that, find me a bath with some bubbly soap and warm water and Epsom salt and alcohol, rubbing alcohol. I'll be good. But I thought you had to, that was just the way I dealt with one particular player. Most players, I just have a talk to them and let them go. But I thought that was, for a player like that, I thought that was needed, to be honest with you.
Yeah, sometimes tough love is needed, bro. Straight up. If you really want to, if you want to play the game, I mean, you look at the greats like, Kobe, just, I'm not going to go and name a big list, but their drive was get in there, work hard, and find a way to make the team good, like not just being about them, it's about the team. And if you can't be about that, you're in the wrong game. That's the way I look at it.
You're in the wrong game. You really are. I mean, it's a team sport requires, I always say, you're just a link in the chain. But you have to be a link that keeps the chain moving.
Agreed.
Don't be that link that puts on the brakes and stops everything. No, keep the chain moving so that the team moves, so that that we as a group continue to strive forward. And that's where, Rick, that goes back to your point in previous shows where you say they have to buy in. And that's an important part of maintaining that culture, is that players have to buy in, and when they do buy in, that's when you have that successful unit, regardless. And success is measured in a lot of ways. It's not just wins and losses a lot of times. It's about life skills. And, because I think basketball And that's one thing I try and teach. I try and teach it in relation to life itself. Not everything's going to be perfect. You know, the workplace is not always going to be great.
That's right.
But in the workplace, you're there as a group with a common goal. So you work together to achieve that goal. And you have to be a part of what the group is trying to achieve, you know. And so with that, I always try to enlighten players that, you know, because a lot of these players, they're not going to, especially younger players, even older players for that matter, you're going to get to a level that suits you. You're not all going to play in the NBA. You're not all going to play, you know, professional basketball, but you can get to a certain level where it suits you. Some of you will become coaches. Some of you might become referees. You know, high school might be it for you. College might be it for you. But take what you learn within that environment, you know, and apply it to your daily lives as human beings, as citizens. Apply it to your daily life, you know.
Agreed.
Treat others with respect as you would like to be treated. That's all.
Yeah, that's right. But there's one of the key words here, and I think, and I meant to mention this earlier, there's several key words in this whole concept of culture, and that's trust. If those players, and I'm talking about everybody in the program, I'm talking about players in particular, but I'm talking about managers, I'm talking about statisticians, everybody that's involved with the program. There's got to be a trust involved there. They've got to know you got their back.
Yes.
And they got your back. But if there's not trust, it's going to be hard to maintain a positive culture. Now, I just, you know, I think that's a key word. It's trust. They got, and you got to sense that. You got to know that. Because if you don't trust the guy beside of you, you're in for a long day. You're in for a long, long year. You got to be knowing, like we were talking about, I think one of the shows we were talking about screens and helping people out and calling the screen out, telling him his screen's coming so he doesn't get his bell rung, you know, things of that nature. So I think that's crucial. Paramount.
Awesome, gentlemen. Awesome. Another one where, you know, I'm hoping that young players are actually paying attention. You know, we pass out knowledge every week, or, you know, we try to make it as entertainment as possible. And speaking of entertainment, looks like, you know, we're starting to wind down here. So, oh man, you said you got a good one for me, and I want to hear this week's great story. Lay it on us.
Okay, well, just FYI, he left a minute ago, so I'm gonna take his place. The old man you were talking about, he left. I think he went to the grocery store or somewhere, so he told me to take his place.
Well, we couldn't be in better hands then, could we?
You're right. This is again, as all my stories are true. I don't believe in telling, you know, fictitious stories. So what happened was, a number of years ago, this multi-millionaire, he was a oil person, oil producer, just made major money down in South Texas. And he was just, you know, his plantation, he had everything. But he earned it. He was a hard worker and just really believed in discipline and whatnot. But unfortunately, the people in this little small town that had joined his ranch wasn't quite very motivated. They didn't really want to work hard. Just extremely unmotivated. So he says, I can't stand this. He said, I've got to show these people the value of hard work. Taking risks. So he said, okay. So he puts this huge party together. This is an unbelievable party. He's got bands, serving food, just invited all the people in the town to come to this party, and it's going great. in his backyard. He has an Olympic-sized swimming pool with 12 alligators who haven't eaten in about 2 weeks. So he stops the band and says, I want to make an announcement. I want to say this. Anybody that would be willing to jump in that pool and swim the length of the pool, I will give them $1 million. If you make it to the end of the pool, I'll give you $1 million. I'll give you my daughter's hand in marriage, or I'll give you an oil field. Your choice of those 3 prizes. If you will jump in that pool and swim the length of the pool. And of course, everybody's back going, oh no, the band stopped. And all of a sudden, the guy's in, he's swimming. All those alligators just went nuts. I mean, they're coming out of the bottom of that pool, and everybody's going, oh my goodness. You know, everybody's watching and screaming and hollering. And all of a sudden, he comes up at the other end of the pool. He's bloodied. He's missing fingers. He's missing. I mean, this guy's just he's in bad shape. So, owner, we'll call him CJ, the owner of this plantation, says, unbelievable. So he comes up to the guy and he says, listen, I'm a man of my word. I want you to know that I do what I'm going to say. You got a choice. You want $1 million? You want my daughter's hand in marriage? Or you want an oil field adjacent to mine? And the guy said, no, I just want to know who pushed me in the pool.
Oh my God. Once again.
True story.
Oh my God.
Oh,
man. There you go. See, Brian? See, Brian,
Absolutely love it.
Your agent has upped your stock a little bit, man.
I get my $5,000 back.
Oh my God. That was a good one. That was a good one. All right,
Fantastic.
guys, look, it's always good, having you guys together here. That's gonna be. I'm gonna be playing that one back again. That was pretty good, but
that was the first time I've told that story, so it was a little right. It wasn't real good, so I'm gonna manage that story though.
That's all right. It was good enough. It was good enough.
You got the point, right?
That's
I
it.
got
We
the
got
point.
it.
That's
We got
it.
the point.
Push me in the pool.
Hey guys, our next show after this one's going to be really cool. As you all know, we had former ABA player Ron Perry on the show, and man, he's played with Indiana Pacers, Carolina Cougars, the Nets, Miami, Minnesota, and wow, it was really great chatting with him. It's going to be good. Get that episode up and running so everyone can check it out. And, great hanging out with you guys today. Brian, anything you want to end on today, or?
Oh no, I'm my thing is I think the show is going good or great actually, because I'm starting to get feedback from people that I know that's starting to tune in, and they want to hear more. They love what you're bringing to the table, Rick. Absolutely love it.
I appreciate it.
Because that's the thing is we're talking basketball.
Yeah.
And, and I think that a lot of people can relate to this, but the feedback has been fantastic, man. I just say, hey, let's keep this train going. Let's keep it moving.
Man, I'm so glad that we started, and, we're getting people checking us out. We may have a new addition coming on to the show. I met a really cool guy. He's in entertainment and sports. He's a sports agent and attorney, so we may have a little law session coming up on the show every now and then, let people know where to go and, what to look for when they're building their careers. And, so it should be pretty interesting, another small bit, as we grow this thing. So, yeah, man, I'm just glad that everyone's getting good feedback. I've been getting good feedback as well, with us just being, about the game, which is what we do, So, yeah. Guys, once again, thanks. Have a good weekend. And let's get back here and do it again on ABA One-on-One.
Sounds good. Take care, man. Take
All
care.
right, guys.
Have a great weekend.
All right, Rick. Take care over there. Peace.
All right. We'll talk.
All right.
Okay.
Peace.
Have you heard of Modere? They have some of the safest products on the planet, free from over 3,000 harmful ingredients. They send me product specials and birthday surprises, and every time I order, I could win a Modere Escape from the rewards program. The easy-to-use app means I can order anywhere, anytime. Give it a try. Download the app. Use my promo code 3i6W8K and get $10 shopping credit on your first order. Share with friends and they get $10 as well. Modere. Stylish, safer, smarter.
Modere is a proud sponsor of ABA 101. We have lots of athletes using their liquid biocells like former NFL player Willie Harper. Have a look for yourself. You can either go to www.modere.com or www.modere.com.au. Use our show promo code 3i6W8K. Get $10 off on your first order. It costs you nothing to look. Well, that's going to do it for this week. Remember, you can keep up with every episode by subscribing via our website. Follow us on social media and tell your friends about us. Next week, new guests, more basketball tips, more basketball stories about the game we all love. Till then, be safe and keep your eyes on the ball.